Install Megaranger. What up, you guys? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome to another Super Sentai review. And today's Super Sentai review is going to be on Denji Sentai Megaranger, which aired in 1997 and is also the season that gave us Power Rangers in space here in the US. And I gotta say, this is my second time watching the show. I had a blast. Such a great time rewatching this season. And another thing I gotta say, when it comes to 90s Sentai, particularly, you don't really hear much about Megaranger. Usually you would hear things about like Jetman, Zoo Ranger because of MMPR, Die Ranger, Kaku Ranger, but you don't really hear much about Megaranger, like barely ever. And I definitely gotta say it is up there as one of the best 90s Sentai. One of. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying one of. But it's a great season, a great feel-good season for that matter. It is a season I definitely recommend that you all check out. I'm just saying that in the beginning right now. So with that being said, let's get into the full synopsis of what this show is. Kenta Date, a young high school student, is the champion of an arcade video game known as Megaranger. Due to his skills and abilities, the iNet company brings him in to use his skills and abilities in a top secret project tied to the Megaranger game. I think I just said that twice. At the same moment as he is brought in, 4 other students of the Digital Research Club at Moroboshi High School likewise appear at the company, investigating the mysterious research being done by the scientists at the facility. However, as the 5 are within the facility, a preemptive attack begins from the evil Nejirezia, an evil dimensional force led by Dr. Hinalar under Electro King Javius I, with plans of conquering this reality. Dr. Kubota, the iNet chief, then reveals the truth to Kenta and his friends. Megaranger was not a video game, but actually a combat simulator that had been designed to find the recruits with the potential to become a super fighting team to strike against the Nejirezia. As the twisted invaders destroy the base, Kubota gives Kenta and his friends special devices known as digitizers. By entering the key code 335 and shouting "Install Megaranger," Kenta, Koichiro, Shun, Chisato, and Miku become the fighting team known as Denji Sentai Megaranger, with the ability to fight back and against the Nejirezia. That's basically the full synopsis of Megaranger as a whole. So let's start off with the theme song. It's a bop. The theme song is straight up a bop. You can just literally just sit back, put that song on, and you can't just help but just bop to it, especially when it gets to the chorus. It is a fun, great, amazing theme song. I love it. I really do love it. It's definitely up there as a great Sentai theme song. Now let's talk about these suits. I love these suits. I love just the style of the suits. The different technological aspect for each ranger is implanted into their helmets. You could see it when they morph, and sometimes when they use it in the field, you could see which designation that they have. Yellow is camera, pink is television, red is like a television screen, silvers is like a microchip. It's a really, really great design. And fun fact about Silvers is especially different from the other 5 is because his suit was originally the prototype for all the other 5 suits. So that's a little bit of a hinting of storytelling, which I'm going to go into when I talk about his character. But I love the suits. They're great. They're really, really great. All right, now let's start talking about these Rangers. The great thing and interesting about these Rangers is that all 5 of them are in high school. And this is like the second time Sentai has done a high school Ranger team. The first time they did it was in Turbo Ranger back in 1989. So with them doing high school teenagers for a second time, it works very, very well. You're not having, full-grown adults on the entire team. So I think it works very well here. But starting off with Kenta. Kenta is a goofball of a ranger. And also, he's not the leader of the team. Usually, with Sentais, it's always Red that's the leader. But Kenta, he is not the leader of the team. He is funny. He has his stupid moments. When it comes time to get down to business with things, Kenta knows when to harden up and take down the bad guys for sure. And he really comes a long way from being just, like a goofball kind of person to want to just spend his money so much on Korean barbecue over and over and over again. But he is a really good person, a really strong, honest, good person. And I always got to say, Kenta is a very underrated Red for that matter, because you don't really hear much about Kenta, but I do like his character and how far he comes from being just like a not really stuck up, but like comedic guy to like someone who's very serious in the end. All right, next up is Koichiro, Mega Black. Now he is the leader of the team, and I gotta say he's actually my favorite character, my favorite member of the entire team. I don't know what it is about Koichiro, but he's very Boy Scout. He's very, top of the books and everything, trying to make sure everything is tip-top shape for himself and for the entire team. But I really do like Koichiro. And usually I prefer Green Rangers because green is my favorite color. But when it comes to Black Rangers, Mega Black, he's up there. Koichiro is fantastic. Also, another crazy moment is there's one episode where Koichiro gets severely wounded to the point where he gets a broken helmet. And you guys know when it comes to Sentai, when a helmet gets broken, that means a moment is about to get real. So just the moment in that episode between Kenta and Koichiro, it was really, really great. I love that about him. All right, next up is Shun, Mega Blue. Shun is basically like the tech genius of the team, even though they're all part of the Digiken club in their school. But Shun is, I would say, he's like a genius programmer because he's also really smart and good with computers. Shun, he kind of butts heads with Kenta a lot, but he's still a top of the line great character. He has a few focus episodes from time to time, and there's also this plot line with him and Mega Pink that doesn't really go anywhere, and I'm going to go into that more when I talk about her character. But overall, Shun is a really, really good character. All right, next is Chisato, Mega Yellow. I love her. She's great. She's full of joy. She's full of energy. She's very peppy, and she's very caring of her friends. All of them, especially Kenta when he slips up most of the time. She has a few, I would say like about 3 or 4 focus episodes. But some of my favorite ones, there's like this episode that focuses with her and her grandmother. That was a really great episode. There's also this one episode where she wants to sing in the schools. Her and the Rangers want to sing in the school's talent show, but she's scared of her voice got swapped out with a monster. So, but in the end, it was a very, very solid episode. And I love that about her. She's like, I guess you could say kind of like the den mother of the team, but really, that's what her character is mostly about. And I like her for that. All right, next up is Miku, Mega Pink. Miku is she's spunky, she's ridiculous. She's not much as a goofball as Kenta is, but she has her moments. The crazy thing is about with her, she has this story arc where she has a huge crush on Shun, but Shun is not returning the feelings whatsoever. And I feel like they could have done more with that plot line with those two, but it didn't go anywhere. I wish they did. But overall, throughout the progression of the show, by the time the show ends, they don't really even address it. So for this point, it's just realized that her and Shun are just friends for the matter. But I thought it would have been nice. I mean, they're teenagers in high school, so what do you think? A teenage love story. I think it would have been great if they evolved on it, but apparently not. But Miku, she's good. She's not overbearing with her, quirkiness, but she's still a good character. It's not like to the point where they overdo it so much, because sometimes Sentai does that over time. But with Miku, not to that extent. All right, next up is Yusaku, aka Mega Silver, our first Silver Ranger in Sentai history. So the deal with Yusaku, he's the only adult on the team, as you can see. He's the 6th Ranger of a team of youngsters. He is the chief tech designer for iNet. And like I said, his suit was originally the prototype for the other Mega Ranger suits. And his story arc is basically when he first came onto the field, he was only able to stay morphed for 2.5 minutes. So that kind of made him a liability on the battlefield every time they were fighting the Nejirezia. However, it does evolve how they were able to prolong the suit status, which allows him to stay morphed going forward. And he does kind of like disappear, or there are moments where he shows up very, very late in an episode to the point where he only shows up for a Megazord battle, and that's it. So that's the one thing, especially with the 6th Ranger status for Sentai, because they around this time, Yusaku was their 3rd 6th Ranger that they ever done. No, scratch that. fourth Sixth Ranger, because you had Barai, then you had Ko, then you had Riki, and you have Yusaku, who's their fourth Sixth Ranger. So they're still kind of trying to find that beat of trying to balance 6 Rangers in one show. But it's fine for that matter. Now on to the supporting cast. We have Dr. Kubota. Dr. Kubota, he cares very much for the team. I love his character. He's got to be one of the best mentors in Sentai for sure. And you don't really hear people talk about him that much. But the way how he cares for these kids and how he thrusts them into a very dangerous situation that who knows they probably never may ever come back from. But the amount of faith that he has in these guys, it's amazing. And on top of that, he kind of has certain connections to the main villain of the show, which I'm going to get to later on. But Dr. Kubota, he's a really great character. Of course, he has his moments where he blows his top, but it's all out of love. That's all I got to say. Now, the next character I want to talk about is Mr. Uawa. Hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. He is the Rangers' homeroom teacher. He can be very slacking off so much from time to time, but the great thing about his character is this. He cares a lot for his students, especially during the final arc of the show where they basically find out, the whole school finds out that the 5 are the Mega Rangers, and that oh, so it's you guys that the Earth is being attacked. It's your fault that the Nejirezia are attacking us. You got to get out of here. Like, to the point where the principal expels them a few days before graduation. Mr. Uawa is the only teacher that supported them, the only one that backed them up. He had so much care for the students, especially for the Mega Ranger students. He is a G, literally one of the best teachers in that school, probably the only one that they really brought up pretty much the whole time. The last character from the supporting cast I want to bring up is Pop. It's for a reason why I'm bringing him up. So this character, this actor, basically, he's the first African descent in Super Sentai ever. Of course, we see this actor play another character again in Aba Ranger, but I just wanted to bring that up just because, he's not around all the time, but just to see, another, this is why they say representation matters, just to see another character represent I had to mention it. I just had to. So good on for Super Sentai for bringing on a character of African descent. Rock on. All right, so now let's get to the villains. So first up, we got the main villain of the show, Dr. Hinelar. So this guy has a history with Dr. Kubota. Originally, his name was called Samejima. So he was conducting an experiment on his own daughter. And in the experiment, it failed, and his daughter ended up getting killed. Later on, he finds a VR goggles and discovers the other dimension of Nejirezia. Kubota told him, don't try to find any research or dive into the usage of where Nejirezia is coming from. But of course, with villains, they go ahead and do the unthinkable. He gets transported to the Nejirezia dimension, and instead of going by Samejima, all that research basically turns him and his body into something different, and that's how he became Dr. Hinelar. And he is a bad guy. Like, he puts the mad in mad scientists. That's basically what his character is like. But he is really good. And he's also not that afraid to go over the edge to get what he wants. And I'm going to explain that later on when I get to some of the other villains. Now, the next character is Shibolina. She is Dr. Hinelar's daughter. So the reveal of her being his daughter came literally at the very end of the show, because she was always either sidelined, she was barely on the field. She was mainly on the field like in the first, I would say, 14 episodes of the show. After that, she's only reduced to just, sending a monster to destroy the city and destroy the world. But when it got revealed, as she was dying, when she said, "Save me, Father," I'm like, Father? This whole time? I thought she was just an android that he created, but it was his actual daughter. And that reveal just came out of left field. I'm just like, oh, shoot. They actually went there. So that was wild just to even see. But her character, she really is a force to be reckoned with. That's the great thing about her. The next villain to bring up is Ugand. Ugand is this guy lives for battle. He really wants to succeed. He wants to destroy the Mega Rangers at whatever cost. Even to the point in the final arc, he was willing to sacrifice his life to just destroy the Mega Rangers. But I love his character. His body goes through many changes over the progression of the show. Of course, even to the point where he gets the cybernetics on his body as well. But Ugand is up there as a great general, I can say, not really a rival character, but he's one of the best generals in Sentai, to me, in my opinion. I love his character. All right, the next character, villain to bring up is Deby. So, how in Sentai, there's always that character that's able to make the characters grow. So Deby is the only character, or not only character, he's the one that basically makes the monsters grow. Basically, he bites them by injecting an enlargement virus into the monsters after they are destroyed. The funny thing about Deby is that he's just like this little floating circular thing with arms and legs. And I'm just like, I just wish somebody could just smack him and just go flying across the room. And it has happened in the show on occasion. So that's only his sole purpose. He doesn't go through an arc or anything like that. It's just, he's just there. That's about it. The next villain I'm talking about is Gideo. He is basically Ugande's rival. He wants to basically be the new second in command for Nejirezia. And the beef that he has between him and Ugand is very interesting, to the point where he fuses his body with Ugand and they get their butt kicked many times, to the point where Dr. Hinelar betrays Gideo and he goes into this berserker state and he starts destroying the whole city. So, not to compare him to Darkonda from In Space. I do, between the two, I actually do prefer Darkonda over Gideo. But Gideo, he's okay. He's alright. That's basically all I can say for him. He's alright. The next villain is Emperor Javius. So he is the supreme ruler of the dimension Nejirezia. He doesn't really do much of anything. He's basically nothing but just like a giant eye that gives Dr. Hinelar his instructions and demands. But the very interesting thing is, Dr. Hinelar is trying to destroy Emperor Javius, which he does in the process. And he doesn't really do much of anything. He's just the supreme force of Nejirezia, and that's it. I wish they did something a little bit different with him, but not really. He's basically supposed to be the equivalent of Dark Spectre, but that's about it. And the last group of characters to talk about, that's why I said group, is the Nei Rangers. Now, these guys mean business. They are the evil counterpart of the Mega Rangers. And I love these characters. The Nei Rangers are just so dope. They're so badass. They are willing to destroy the Mega Rangers with no regrets. No regrets at all. And it's just the rivalry that they have between these characters, especially when they get killed off and they're brought back as ghosts. They are ready to destroy the Mega Rangers head on, to the point where even in one episode, when Dr. Hinelar turned the Mega Rangers into data cards, the Nei Rangers rescue them just so they could kill the Mega Rangers. That's just their main goal in life. We want to destroy the Mega Rangers. Nobody's going to stop us. We're doing it ourselves. You're not taking that away from us. That's basically what they're all about. And I love that about their characters. They do not care at all. And that's basically all the characters in Mega Ranger. Guys, I really do appreciate this show. I love it. And the reason why I think this is so different for 90s Sentai shows, I feel like this is the show for Sentai in the 90s where they were able to kind of find that balance between serious tone and also comedic elements. Die Ranger kind of had that too. Die Ranger there was a lot of serious moments in Die Ranger. Of course, there were comedic moments as well. But I feel like with Mega Ranger, they perfected that balance. And this is like literally in the back end of the 90s. So to go from like a bad, terrible show like O Ranger, which was not that great, which they had to go through a whole tonal shift because of real life events, and then Car Ranger, which is a completely comedic season all around, to going back to basics to find that balance. I think Mega Ranger really perfected that service for Sentai in the 90s, and it worked so well. Mega Ranger is definitely a raw season. You guys should definitely check that show out. It's available to watch on DVD, which I'll leave a link in the description below, and is also available to watch on Tubi.tv as well. And with that being said, folks, that's my review of Denji Sentai Mega Ranger. In the comment section below, what did you think of Mega Ranger? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Are you in between on it? Let me know in the comment section below. And stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be on Seiju Sentai Gingaman. I'm really looking forward to rewatching Gingaman because I've been wanting to rewatch that show for a very long time. And that was also the second Sentai I ever watched ever since I started getting into this franchise. So it's going to be very interesting to see Gingaman again. So I want to see if my opinion has changed, hopefully for the good. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And as always, I'm Vengeance, I'm Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden.